Hey Tubies, it's me. I want to make another video, real quick video, that probably will piss off a lot of people. But, I want to explain that this is not for the harm of anybody or to hurt anybody's feelings. Um, but, um, the other day, when I'm bored, I like, just think about things, And, the number one thing I usually would think about is, either the craft or history. I'm a major history buff. And, I've researched a lot of history and I've dealt into the, deep core of things, which is why I want to go to college for history. But anyway, I was thinking, and, I don't know why, but I began to think, about the church and the history of the church, how it began, and suddenly it dawned on me. And like I said, this isn't meant to hurt anybody's feelings or anything like that. I'm not a witch out to bash anybody. I'm not doing that. I'm seeing how I historically see this. You know, you know how I thought it was meant to be. You know what I'm saying? Or it was played out to be. That's what I'm saying. I think it what it meant to be. But um, a little overcap. Christianity, we all, if any historian knows or any witch knows, started underground in Rome, anyway. Rome being the supreme at the time, the same supreme nation, owning the Mediterranean, um, and predominantly pagan. The Christians feared conviction from the pagans, and it is true, yes, the pagans did convict the Christians as well as the Christians have done to the pagans. Um, so they too were underground, literally underground, and they were in kind of like sewer lines, holding mass and such, and this was around the time when of course when Jesus was born. Um, Sorry, I lost my train of thought. um, and okay, I found it. When you look up the definition, um, so like I said, I'm trying to get this in perfect order so it makes sense. Um, so, um, those are my dogs barking. Uh, when I see Christianity as when it began back then, like most of the three major Hebrew uh, religion, Christianity, Judaism, and Muslim. They all started in the form that we would normally see in modern day as a cult, unfortunately. Not the cult that you would know of today, the ones that, oh, we're from aliens, let's, drink this batch of toxic punch and we'll all die together. No, it wasn't what it was. What I mean by cult was, if you look up cult in the dictionary, it really does say that where a group of people come together, seclude themselves um, from the common society, which they may not have done that, may or may not. Um, in fact, the Christians were mingled in with the pagans of Rome and were hidden, of course, which is where the Christian fish comes in. I don't know if any of y'all have ever heard of that, but if any Roman came across another Roman and they wanted to know if they were Christian, they'd make a curve like that. If the other person was a Christian, they too would finish the curve, making that Christian fish. Um, and that is true. Um, but they were mingling in. And the cult, as it was back then, they thought Jesus was the prophet. And that's what a cult is today. And by definition, they think that um, this person is the prophet. And you, of course, today, like the Branch Davidians, they usually leads them somewhere down a very wrong road. But it began as, the definition of a cult. Um, but of course, it grew larger. People wanted to be Christians, wanted to come out of the shadows, as do witches of today, and so they did. And Christians were Christians and pagans were fighting for God's sake, for forever, and from that point on, and until it came to Constantine, as most of you have probably seen in the Da Vinci Code. I'm sorry, the movie or the book explains a lot about him, a lot of fact about him. In fact, he did go to war. His nation was being torn apart between a religious war, a religious civil war, if you will, and while in war, uh, he wanted to win. He wanted to be victorious, and he looked to the heavens and saw a cross. Therefore, he thought it best that he should convert all of Rome into Christianity, thereby beginning the Christian Empire. Um, of course, Constantine was a lifelong pagan, and he didn't get baptized until he was on his deathbed. Uh, but he also did form the Council of Nicaea. I don't know how to say that word right, I'm sorry. So I don't know if you want to research that or not. But he gathered all the best bishops of Rome, got them into a little council, and debated which sacraments went into the Bible, which is usually my number one argument with any Christian, unfortunately. Um, which sacraments were suited for the Bible. And now I say that, and you want to think that, um, you know, most religious scriptures we all know were written by man, by humans, by a woman, by man. But I mean, there's physical evident proof when it says Book of John. Come on now. You can't take it all entirely as divine. Um, Good principles, yeah. I mean, we have our principles, like the that have been started by some of the most famous of witches, which is good. But I'm saying is they debated which sacraments written by many different religious poets or not poets. I'm sorry, writers. Wrong word. And debated which ones to go in there. And now we stretch this a little further. Um, by and this is all my opinion, historical opinion. Um, that like I said, I can't figure out the right terminology to use. I'm running into my 10-minute mark, so I'll go ahead and stop here and make a part two, and hopefully not forget what I was talking about. But be right back.